Let's go therapy. Let's talk about the way the power of speaking about your body can change chronic illness. So, everything that I'm about to say is based on my personal experience. When I first got migraines, etc., stuff back in 2021, the language about how I talked about myself was actually fairly positive. It was kind of like, I used to be healthy, but now I'm not. And in terms of like the range of the way that we talk about our health, that's fairly positive for a chronic illness health spiral. And it was mainly because I still was using language like I was healthy. And currently in these circumstances, I am not. What began to happen then was that my language around how I spoke about myself, even prior to my POTS diagnosis, became more and more and more negative. So I started saying things like, I can't do this, or I'm not able to, or this always hurts when. And you can see like I'm like automatically moving my shoulder. My shoulder doesn't hurt. But literally this is just like an involuntary reflex because I've already brought it to out of the subconscious into the conscious, and I'm now reacting to it. A lot of the language that I was using was born out of the frustration of not having answers to my health. And I started using firmer and firmer language because doctors were not listening. So I started using language like, I cannot do this, to get them to take me seriously. And the problem with that was that I then started internalizing that I actually couldn't do something. And when I was going to physical therapy, I noticed it the most because I was very active prior to me like having all of this stuff happen. And I remember being in physical therapy one day and I like was afraid to do like twists, like just side twists. And these are things that I had done for years. And I was terrified to do them. And I was terrified because I would get like weakness in my legs and I would get like shaking in my hands. And I later learned that that was because of the jugular vein compression being triggered with the twisting. But the most interesting thing happened because then my physical therapist was like, wait, you used to do yoga. Like, are you able to do like, I think it was a Warrior 3. And a part of me like kicked in and I literally was like, yeah, probably. And having done like a yoga practice previously, there were so many things where I was like, I think I can just figure out how to do this. And having spent weeks and months in physical therapy being afraid to do basic moves like raising my right arm like above my head because I was afraid it was going to trigger symptoms, and then going out into a Warrior 3 where you're balancing on one foot effortlessly and like not even second guessing it and just hanging out there, really challenged my belief that I could do things. And when I left that session, I didn't say, oh my God, I'm so proud of myself that I just did this. I said, that was a fluke. That was a one-off. It was an absolute random occurrence in time that I was able to do that. And I remember going home and I was living with my parents, and my dad is like very self-actualized. He's a very just like positive, happy mindset, like full-blown manifestation style human being. And I remember coming home and telling him this, and my like tone was just like, yeah, whatever, like it's fine. It was like a one thing. And him being like, you are healthy, you are strong, you are okay, you can do this. And I got so mad. I was infuriated at him because I felt dismissed. It was like, what do you mean I'm healthy? I'm not healthy. And I would say this over and over. I would say, I am not healthy. My body doesn't work the way that it's supposed to. It doesn't do what I need it to do. It literally is broken. Why don't you understand that? And he would constantly counter with, you are healthy. And I'm not saying that his method was correct because it was really like dismissive and it was frustrating and etc. But 5 years later, what I can say is this. When I started using similar language, like, I'm so grateful that my heart beats the way that it is supposed to in time. I am so grateful that I have full mobility in my legs. My arms are strong. My body is strong. I am capable of doing these things. Every single thing shifted. And notice that, like, because I have POTS, my heart works differently. It sometimes has moments where it's going to spike or drop. But notice the language that I chose. My heart beats in the exact time that it is meant to. Great. Even if I have a tachycardic episode, the majority of the time my heart still works the way that it is meant to. And it was really challenging to find the nuances in that language because I could not swing all the way over to I am healthy, I am happy, I am whole, everything works amazingly. I wasn't in that headspace. What I needed to do was go back and remind myself that there were parts of me that still did what I needed them to do from the day that I was born until now. And that shift changed everything. It meant that I was going into physical therapy, not saying I'm going to feel like shit after this. It meant that I was saying, wow, look at how strong I am. This is incredible. It's amazing that I can still do a cat-cow. Great. It is the way that I am able to go to the gym now, and despite the fact that I'm still doing the Potts-Levine protocol, I also am now able to do old ab exercises, and I can do resistance band training, and I can do a whole bunch of things that previously I would have said, no, body doesn't do that, doesn't work that way. And now I can say, let's try it. Why not? Let's just see. When we use language about ourselves that says, I am broken, I can't do this, I am not able, we are reinforcing the body's inability to heal. Mental, emotional, and physical health all happen like this. If physically we are trying to get better and mentally and emotionally we are consistently saying, no, no, no. And then we follow that up with, well, I don't believe that I'm going to get better because my body hasn't shown me. Well, what cycle are we in? The cycle that we've created because of that says, I'm waiting for my physical body to show me that we are going to get better, but I don't believe that I can get better until I have the proof that I can get better. So I'm going to keep using negative language around my health, and then I'm going to be surprised that my physical health is not improving. It doesn't work that way. And I'm saying this as somebody who has been through this journey. I have been in the depths where I have said, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this definitely does not work. Everything doesn't work the way that it is supposed to. My body is broken. It's not going the way that I need it to. And I can tell you, even as I'm saying that, I can feel the sadness, the depression, the pain just like start to wave into me. But when I use language like, thank God my heart still beats. Thank God I have access to healthcare that allows me to work with doctors and find out what's going on. Thank God my body is sending me a signal that says, please listen to me. When I use language like that, I automatically feel brighter. And I'm not just saying this, like I truly do feel brighter and lighter. You don't need to jump to, holy gosh, I am so healthy, I'm so amazing. It can be really hard to get from the depths of despair to positivity. But the middle ground says, thank you, shoulder, for working. Thank you for calling attention to the pain. One of the ways that I always eliminated stomach aches was saying, thank you for telling me. It's so random, but it works. Thank you, body, for telling me. It reduces the signal of pain by half because the mind and the emotional centers of us just want attention. And when we're in physical pain, the mind doubles down on it and says, come on, pay attention to me, let's go. And when we greet it with understanding and acceptance and not criticism and judgment, what we begin to see is pain levels go down and the real root causes of physical pain show up. There is no way that I would have been able to figure out my POTS diagnosis and my jugular vein compression diagnosis had I not began to say, I can get out of this. And I also know that my entire physical body is not a dumpster fire right now. There are just parts of me that are needing more attention than others.